Alright, so in this quick video, just gonna take an overview of picking something up off the ground. One of the most fundamental human movements. A lot of people would say do it wrong under load, because if you're not under load and you're just picking, say, a pencil off the ground, you can bend over, you can flex the spine, it's not under load. Spinal flexion and extension is not necessarily a bad thing. Under excessive load is fundamentally a bad thing. You can strengthen the spine, erector spinae, longissimus, iliocostalis, spinalis, multifidus, all these muscles, the intricate little muscles throughout the back, by doing loaded spinal flexion and extension, i.e. bending over to pick something off the floor. But if you're lifting heavy loads and you want to do it in the safest possible way, you don't want spinal flexion under load. You want that spinal to be rigid and secure. We create that security and stability through intra-abdominal pressure, so breathing into the belly, using the diaphragm, using the transverse abdominis, rectus abdominis, internal, external obliques. If you want to know a bit more about that, I have got other videos on it. But when we're picking up a heavy load, whether it be a barbell in the gym or a dumbbell, anything like that, or in everyday life, picking up a bag, a toolbox, anything like that, we breathe, we brace, and we want our spine to be rigid. We don't want flexion and extension under load. So, our cueing in our head should be, rather than, bending over, you visualize spinal flexion. So your back's going from being straight to flexing. Instead of thinking, okay, we're gonna bend over to pick something up, we need to think we're gonna hinge and then exert force through the floor, through the feet. So instead of bending over and picking up, by picking something up, the cue, you'll visualize actually pulling. Whereas what we actually want to do is initiate a hinge at the hips, and then we want to push the feet through the floor. That way, the load doesn't get taken through the muscles through the back that we don't actually want to load too much, but the large muscles in the glutes, hamstrings, quads, etc., they take the load then, and you cause contracted, activated, therefore we're not going to have any danger of spinal flexion. But the cueing of driving the feet through the floor rather than picking up, you're pushing rather than pulling, that's going to activate the larger muscles, i.e. the glutes, hamstrings and quads. We'll do a visual demonstration of this now, so hopefully you'll get a bit more understanding of it through this quick clip. Okay, so now you're going to see me perform a hip hinging movement to demonstrate how to pick something up off the floor, and initiating that verbal cue in the head to push through the floor as opposed to pull up. Equally, to think of hinging at the hips, driving through the floor or driving the floor away, as opposed to bending over, picking up. So remember, we don't want any spinal flexion or extension through the movement. It's a loaded movement. We want to breathe and brace at the core, and we want to use our legs to drive through the floor. For more information, look at my deadlift videos, where they really break down the movement of a hip hinge and obviously a deadlift. So first of all, I'm going to take a kettlebell. I'm going to show you a front view and a side view, and then we're going to take a barbell and we're going to do a full deadlift. So, to start off, from the front, stand with our feet about hip width apart. We hinge, so the hips are going back, taking a firm grip, and we're going to breathe, brace. retract the scapula and drive through the floor. The breathing and the bracing can be done first and then hinge at the hips, pushing the hips back, or you can hinge at the hips and breathe and brace whilst in position. If you stay in this position long enough, you'll actually feel it in your glutes, okay? Because they're taking the load. They're the large muscles in the backside that you want to be using. So, take the load, breathe and brace, feet through the floor. Now, from the side, you see again, the hips go back, take a grip, and just to demonstrate, this is what we don't want. And that's what you see most of the time. The back bends and the spine goes on the flexion and extension whilst under load. So, taking that movement into a barbell, the standard deadlift setup. It's a fundamental movement we should all be able to do. Starting and initiating the movement with a hip hinge. We've got a 60 kilo barbell here. So we'll do that from the side view so you get a better angle. Okay, so I hope you learnt something from this video, and I hope you can integrate it into your life and make it a healthier and more enjoyable life without any back pain, hopefully. Okay, please like, share, subscribe, whatever. DM me if you want any videos or any more information, advice, etc. I'm happy to help. Cheers.